Problem number 4. Find the values of x and y that satisfy the following system of equations. So 2 linear equations we have here.
So there are 2 ways to solve a system of linear equations, which is substitution and elimination. However, elimination is not very convenient in this situation, so we will use substitution.
And for the elimination, just to remind the listeners that we would modify the equations by multiplying each one by something such that when we add them, one of the variables will disappear. So here we would have multiplied the first equation by 2 every term and the second one by 3. Then it would have been 6x and negative 6x. We would have added everything and x would disappear. So elimination. But that's not what we are going to use because we think substitution is more convenient here.
Right. So we see that in the top equation, we have a single y, which we could substitute into the bottom equation. So right now, what we need to work on is isolating the y. And we do that by removing the 3x from that side where the y is, or subtracting 3x from both sides.
All right, so we solved the top equation for y. Now we'll go ahead and substitute it into the bottom equation, and it will become, we just copy, negative 2x plus 3. Instead of y, we will have our expression that we got from the top equation. And this whole thing is equal to negative 15. Now we have a convenient linear equation. How do we solve it?
So we would use PEMDAS and the distributive property. So we would distribute 3 through both terms in the parentheses, getting 3 times 6, or 18, minus 3 times 3x, or 9x.
Minus 9x, negative 15. Good. Let's combine like terms on the left side next.
So combining like terms is when we add all the variables we can with the same power of x to create less terms. So here we have negative 2x and negative 9x. When added, that's negative 11x plus 18.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what we would do is, again, move all the constants to one side. So subtract 18 from both sides.
Because we want to isolate our variable. That's our way of solving linear equations. We isolate the variable. 18 is moved to the right, so negative 11x is by itself, just like we wanted. And then negative 15 minus 18. We can think about it as an analogy. You're underground at negative 15 feet, and then you're moving even lower, another 18, right? So it's negative 15 and going even lower, another 18. So we will have a total of negative
33.
Good. And final step, we need to get rid of negative 11 in front of x. In order to do this,
we would divide both sides of the equation by negative 11 and get x is equal to negative 33 divided by negative 11. Since the negatives cancel out, we would get just 3.
Very good. X equals 3. All right, but our original system had x and y. We found x, we still need y. What can we do to find it?
Now, what we would do to find y is plug in the value found for x into either of the equations, so then we can solve for y.
And we will probably plug it into the expression that we got when we solved for y to use the substitution method, because we will get y right away. We could have plugged in x in here or in here. It would have worked as well, but this is just more convenient to plug it into the expression that we got for y. Let's do it. So what will we get?
We would get 6 minus 9.
Minus 3 times 3. And how much is 6 minus 9?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. All right, good. So this is our value for y. Here's our value for x. We can write it like this. We can also write it as a pair when we write 3, comma, negative 3 as the solution pair. We can also check that it in fact works by plugging in both values into the first and then second equation and confirming that both of them will be true. Let's do it quickly. So 3 times 3, because x is 3, minus 3 for y equals 6. Is that true?
Yes, because that would be 9 minus 3, which is indeed 6.
Next, we will plug it into the second equation. Negative 2 times 3 for x plus 3 times negative 3 for y. And that should equal negative 15.
And it does, because negative 2 times 3 is negative 6 plus 3 times negative 3, which is negative 9. Negative 9 plus negative 6 is negative 15.
Okay, so we found our solution pair for this system of equations.